Hello and welcome to the Geeks Review. I'm Royce.
And I'm Joshua.
Eternals was a Marvel movie released last year, and we're finally going to talk about it. Now it's out on Disney Plus to watch for free.
Everyone. It actually skipped premiere access.
Yeah. Only a few months afterwards, and I think this is probably one of the lowest rated and lowest box office, Marvel films in recent years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a longer film. It's one of the longest. It's about 2.5 hours long. Stars Richard Madden, Gemma Chan, Salma Hayek, Angelina Jolie,
Kit Harington for whatever amount he's in.
Kumail Nanjiani is in it as well. Yeah.
This is a very star-studded cast, and not many of them are in it for long.
They were in it more than I expected, to be honest. Like, people said, oh, Angelina Jolie's hardly in it, and she's in it quite enough. Like,
she's in it more than Kit Harington is.
Yeah, I kind of realised by the end, like, oh, where's he gone? Interesting for his character, but, I mean, they don't want to shoehorn any more important characters. It's all set up. It's all set up, which is, I guess, one of the criticisms with these Marvel films is they feel more like set up than anything else. But yes, the Eternals are long-lived beings who protect the Earth from creatures called deviants. There's these great entities called Celestials who create galaxies and worlds, and you have an opening text crawl which just feels awkward. I think Star Wars is the only film that can really get away with an opening text crawl now.
It definitely felt so Star Warsy. I'm sitting there going, wait, I have to read? Is this a Marvel film? What?
Yeah.
What am I watching?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just the up and down scroll. I was getting flashbacks to, like, M. Night Shyamalan's bloody Avatar or Last Airbender or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
The desecration of that property. I don't even have that many strong opinions on that film, and I still hated it.
Yeah.
On that series, I should say. So it sort of doesn't feel like a Marvel movie, does it?
No, and it doesn't quite feel like a anything else movie either. It feels like its own thing, but it just doesn't feel. I watched it. I took the piss out of it.
Yeah. I
enjoyed it to a degree, but it just felt flat.
I liked it, but I didn't love it. I mean, I sort of thought this is nice. It's strange though because it's really dealing with fate of the world, and I didn't quite feel that. And it's a film. It's directed by Chloe Zou, who directed Nomadland, which I did watch last year, and it's also on Disney Plus. Starred Frances McDormand, and it was the big Oscar winner last year. So I watched it, and very distinctive style, which is kind of feels like here you could kind of blend the two films together in some places, and they've got the same color palette, same sort of way of being shot. Both very beautiful, striking films that sort of film landscapes in a muted way. It's not super colourful. There's colour there.
The most colour I saw was when in the BC with Babylon.
Oh yeah, a lot of colour there. Yeah.
Or the set of Bollywood.
Yeah, so these Eternals are long-lived beings who've been here for 7,000 years, protecting the Earth from things called deviants, and they mostly live among humans now. I mean, Kumail Nanjiani's character Kingo is a Bollywood star who's been posing as his father and his great-grandfather, and he's going back many generations now. Gemma Chan appears to be a historian working in London.
Yep.
Good to see her back after she was sort of underutilized in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
People would know her from Humans or even Fresh Meat, which actually just celebrated its 10th anniversary. But and Richard Madden, of course, from The Bodyguard and Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Doing his natural accent here, which is always good to hear. The kid who played Druig was actually one of those bandits in The Green Knight who stole Gawain's stuff and left him for dead. Yeah, it's very different, this film. It's not like quippy.
No.
And when it does get to that, it kind of feels a bit like, this is weird, don't do that.
Yeah.
And
it feels a bit serious.
It is very serious.
Yeah, it definitely, but it's also taking itself a little bit too seriously and flashing it.
It does sort of feel like a film that might have come out like within the last 10 years before Avengers really picked up and Star Wars came back.
Yeah.
Something that's like, we're going to try to be this new epic, but failing. And
the scale, with a pre-established universe, it really didn't feel like its own thing as it was trying to be because of the stuff that they were dealing with. Surely should have picked up on a other heroes' radar.
Yeah.
Because this world, the Deviants, yeah, they've been a bit sneaky, but they weren't exactly subtle.
No.
And it should have popped up, and then, the final set piece,
Oh,
that
yeah.
should have been on a lot more radars, and they've turned around and said, this is, spoilers, post-blip.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's weird because, yeah, it is set in this universe, but it doesn't feel like all the other characters exist within it. And when there are mentions to it, it's not as egregious as people made it out to be, but it does sort of feel like, oh yeah, remember Iron Man exists in this universe,
Yeah.
remember Spider-Man and all that.
Yeah, they exist, but...
And so does Batman in Star Wars as fiction, it turns out.
But they just turn around and sort of like, so why isn't this stuff being picked up then?
In that way, it almost feels like, because, Star Wars is mentioned in a meta way, and DC and like Batman is mentioned in a meta way. It almost feels like they're mentioning Avengers in a meta way. Like, so when the characters meet and they go, who do you think's going to lead the Avengers? It feels more like they're talking about movies than it does like people within their universe.
Exactly.
Yeah. And oh my god, the post-credit scenes were just so blatant. It, like, all subtlety is thrown out the window as it's just like an axe through the window.
Oh look, we're setting up another hero. Oh look, we're setting up another series.
Yeah. There's a tweet going around last week where it's like, people really sit through 12 minutes of credits just to see a guy walk through a door and go, I'm bloody Luke.
Yeah.
And it is really exemplified at the most, I think.
This is, yeah. I mean, it was funny with Homecoming. It's like, so you want to talk about patience. I flipped off the movie screen when that happened. I actually turned around and swore at the screen.
Yeah.
I sat for all this, and this is what you give me? You.
But you gotta appreciate all the hardworking VFX artists and
True,
yeah.
and that's a good thing. But here, it just kind of no.
It's interesting stuff. Or it's not presented exactly in an interesting way. It just feels like really blatant and really.
It feels more like a Phase 1 setup type of deal.
Yeah, it feels like Chloe Zou had her own direction. They kind of said, "Oh, you need to mention Iron Man here."
Yeah, you need to remind them that they're in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, and I think it would have been fine if they hadn't,
Yeah.
or if they put more thought into it, because it just feels really like tacked on.
It definitely feels like they've tried to wedge it into this complex complex universe, that they've been crafting for decades. Don't get me wrong. Comics, it makes it a bit easier because you can go back and, hey, true believers, go back and read issue number 96.
You want to do it? No, I'm not going to do my Stan Lee voice. I can't do it today. It's getting quite convoluted now. I mean, I think more so with like Spider-Man, which brings in the original Spider-Man movies and the Venom movies.
Spoodermans.
Yes. Yeah, it's quite meta and convoluted and complicated, and comics are like that.
Yes.
I mean, yourself, you wanted to follow a Batman story, you had to go buy all these Batgirl comics, which you then sold to me.
Yes. But,
yeah.
It definitely feels like it is out of place.
Yeah.
There are probably people that say, no, doesn't. But this is all personal opinion. And
yeah, I like this film.
It definitely is
The Eternals.
distinct.
Yeah.
It's distinct, don't get me wrong, and I do love what they do with the stuff here, though I probably spent more time Googling each person's historical comparison named is, because each one of these are named after some kind of mythic
or
character.
Within the universe, inspirations for certain characters, yeah. Yeah, I didn't... There's a lot of characters, and I might not remember all their names, but I kind of feel like, even though there's a lot of new characters, it does balance them all well.
It does, and this is probably one of the few films that I will say actually utilizes a speedster really well.
Yeah. People were like... The actress said like the character's like one of the fastest speedsters like in comics, and people were like mocking her and that, and I'm thinking, no, she's legitimately pretty fast here.
Yeah, she's shown to be a lot quicker than, the stuff we've been getting with the Flash.
Oh, or Quicksilver even.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, sure, like Flash goes so fast he winds back time, as we see on the Snyder Cut. But that was kind of like in a minuscule element. He could, in that meter or so, he could affect it that much.
Yes.
And she's like getting to the other side of the world in like a blink of the eye, and
it's better showing, not telling, with a speedster here.
There is a lot of show, don't tell. Like it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, because I guess they don't tell. I know every character, their personality, their worries, their concerns, their history, their powers. I just don't know their names. Because unless there's like, the ones I bought the action figures. I
I
wasn't
will give them
overwhelmed.
that. The characters do feel, it's just the film itself.
I think Cersei was sort of let down more as the film came along.
She kind of did fall to the back.
She just sort of stands there and looks like, upset all the time. I mean, obviously, there's a lot going on, but it's kind of like, yeah, she's... I think it was Hex from Good Game actually said, like, Eternals is like Richard Madden and Gemma Chan are very pretty, but they're the most boring people. I'm like, well, no, there's stuff to them. A lot of people have just been down on this film. Like, a lot of people like, I couldn't get through it. Oh, it was so boring. You even said it didn't stay with you, but...
No, it's stuck with me. It just feels flat.
It's very reserved, I think. I think that's the polite word. It's reserved.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, you might say, oh, Twin Peaks is contemplative. It's not boring. It takes its time.
Twin Peaks freaks me out. I know I'm doubling back with my opinion, but it does feel flat. And there are elements I can appreciate with it, though.
I can see that, yeah. It's, some of the CGI is a bit funny, but like, I mean, the deviants, I guess you could say, they're like weird interdimensional beings, and they look unnatural, so they're not supposed to like, there's no real way you can make them.
This world.
Yeah. When they're sort of like, they're coloured like oil on water almost, and they're like shimmering and glistening, and as they move, it's good to actually have some aliens that have like an actual physical appearance that's distinct. Like, I mean, you think back to something like, did you ever see J.J. Abrams' Super 8 movie? Or Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise? There was like aliens in that which were just sort of like amorphous blobs, and it was kind of like, how are these like spacefaring, threats? They're just things, they're just that. And with the deviants in this, they actually are beings that have shape, and you can recognize, oh, that's the griffin, that's the wolf, that's the tiger. They have distinct shapes, and they're unique, visually distinct, which is good.
I feel like there could have been a little bit more, but I can still appreciate what it did, though it did feel a bit flat. Like, there was no real... I didn't feel the stakes or agency.
There was actually a lot of said about this film, like how it was going to have the first gay character, which is good.
Yeah.
And it doesn't shy away from it, although it does have scenes which are conveniently there to be cut out, for the bigoted countries in the world. It made a big deal about the first sex scene in a Marvel film, which was basically nothing. I mean, the ABC would think of it as a sex scene.
Whoop-de-doo, Basil.
Yeah, pretty much. I remember people were also like, how, Marvel has ruined Chloe Zou, and, they've stifled her creativity, and it does feel like, like we said, they went and jammed in certain references here and there. People are expecting too much, and
people are expecting too much of a lot of this stuff. I know it's now a Disney property, but one thing I do want to point out is the same thing that's happening with Book of Boba. Is that people are expecting instant gratification with this stuff. I should know. I'm one of these people.
Yeah.
That's what I had with Eternals. I expected a bit more gratification from it. Did I walk away dissatisfied? No. Did I walk away satisfied? No. The Book of Boba, everyone's expecting it to just be now.
Yeah, well, to talk briefly about Book of Boba, we are recording a week before, so as of the time we go to air, 2 other episodes have aired.
Yes.
There's one airing Wednesday, and,
And
they air Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And there was a quote I heard from a friend, which I think was misinterpreted from Robert Rodriguez, that said, all the trailers only show stuff from the first half of the show. To stop a big spoiler from coming out in the second half. I think a lot of people took that to mean the first episode.
Yeah.
So we watched, and there's a lot of stuff from the trailers in the first episode. And fans, obviously we're only seeing the trailers, we're only getting half the story, and we're trying to construct a full story based upon elements in trailers which are taken from all over the film. I know with the Eternals, there was bits in the trailer which is kind of like, oh, that's a moment right before the villain gets killed. And that looks like it's going to be like a big, scary, middle of the movie moment, but no, it's right at the end.
Yeah.
It's like, it was almost, remember Amazing Spider-Man a few years ago, how the trailer ends on this shot of him flying towards Rhino spinning a thing, and that was like the final shot of the film.
Yeah.
And it was the final shot of a trailer, and it's a bit rude when they did that. But yeah, people have that expectation, and I tried not to have any, but I went in and I was still kind of like, oh yeah, see where this goes. And I think with Eternals, yeah, if you sort of stick with it, It's different. It's
Give it time.
But I think if you've got kids, just stick to Ant-Man or something, or Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, lots of Marvel stuff came out last year.
It did. Yeah.
So many things. I mean, TV-wise, we had WandaVision, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, and Hawkeye. Movie-wise, we had The Eternals. We also had Black Widow, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yes.
So, now it's been about a year since WandaVision came out, and, all these films have sort of sat with us for a while. Do you have any other thoughts on films and shows that sort of come up since?
I think WandaVision definitely was the first taste of what we could maybe see as a ongoing idea of creating shows with Marvel. It definitely felt like its own individual product. The stylizations of going through all the different sitcoms of the centuries, sorry, decades, not centuries, decades. Though we are missing telenovelas.
Yes. That would have been just recast Wanda as with a Spanish actress. That would have been wild.
Poorly dubbed Spanish, just poorly dubbed Spanish.
Yeah, true.
Keep it normal.
True, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier felt like a stretched out film.
It did, yeah.
But the episoded nature of it allowed it to give us more. Hawkeye had a similar feel. Loki was really the only kind of crowning jewel out of all of them.
Yeah.
Because if WandaVision was the groundwork, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was pretty much...
It was... I think each of those series are sort of comparable in some... Maybe not WandaVision and maybe not Loki. But looking at Hawkeye, I sort of thought... theme-wise and sort of the way it's presented, it's very similar to the Ant-Man movies. And it's... also helped that there's a lot of shape-changing stuff in Hawkeye as well. And Falcon and Winter Soldier really feels like an extension of the Captain America, Winter Soldier, Civil War sort of style.
Yes.
That we had with those films, the sort of more serious, grounded, quite dramatic, stuff there. I think WandaVision, should have gone on longer with its premise of on the rewatch, it was sort of I wish there was a bit more.
Yeah.
And talking about delayed gratification and sort of expectations... Going into that, that was so sort of oh, okay, we're just going to tune into another episode of this sitcom, are we? And wait for the things to be revealed. Oh, now it's been revealed. And I think on the rewatch, it was a lot more interesting to sort of stick with the sitcom side.
Yes.
Elizabeth Olsen really proves herself as an actress as well towards the latter episodes of that series.
Does.
And people were saying, oh, we need a film now with her character. I'm like, you just had this full series, which has given her a complete opportunity to do that
and grow
and to show off her skills. And if she wasn't nominated for stuff, it's a bloody crime. Speaking of nominated, I mean Don Cheadle was nominated for his 2-minute cameo in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh my god!
And I can't help but feel that they confuse. Not to say they're racist, the people at the Emmys or whatever. But I'm like, did you confuse Anthony Mackie? Because he was great in it as well.
Absolutely.
As was the actor that played the older African-American, super soldier, who was he was actually a much younger actor under makeup. So it makes me wonder if that character's going to come back. But he was great as well, and Don Cheadle's great and everything. But an Emmy for what he did? I think even he was surprised.
They'll take it, I guess.
He's like, sure, give it to me. Movie-wise, Shang-Chi, any changing thoughts on that?
No.
Yeah. Still a bit, no?
Meh.
It feels like it did get to a big battle towards the end.
Yeah, big CGI monster fight.
And it starts strong with the bus fight and just of goes down from there.
I wouldn't have minded, a nice Marvel Kung Fu film. Dealing with some kinds of mysticism, not this, ancient evil.
Lord of the Rings, yeah. Literally Lord of the Rings, yeah. Something I noticed as well watching in cinemas, there's often a difference between cinematic, films where there's subtitles and then home releases where instead of the subtitles being a part of the film, they're an option you turn on. So sometimes you might be watching a film and there's scenes where people talk in another language and your subtitles aren't turned on, so you don't get it.
Yeah.
And I think that the subtitles I had in the film in the cinema were just a lot better than the default Disney ones they turn on. Same deal with...
Speaks in Chinese.
Well, they don't do that,
continues
thankfully.
in sign.
Oh, actually, I think those subtitles on Eternals were actually like burnt into the film. Oh, were they turned on and off?
They can turn on and off.
Ah, well, they felt more natural there, but I guess
There is like other languages. But you're talking about. I think we're talking about closed captioning versus actual subtitles.
Well, yeah, I mean, do you remember with like all the old Star Wars VHSs, like whenever Jabba or Greedo was on it,
Yeah.
there's like that distinctive subtitle style?
Those are burnt in.
Yeah, and then there's like the options you can turn on and off. Yeah, I much prefer the ones that are burnt in because it's part of the film.
Yeah.
And I went and watched Solo: A Star Wars Story with Mum last year, and subtitles were missing. So bloody scenes when Han and Chewie are communicating, and it's subtitled in that, weren't subtitled. So it was literally just...
Chewie was never subtitled, though.
Han was. Chewie wasn't. But it's just like... And it's like, oh god, it's a holiday special all over again. Yeah. So subtitles need to be burnt into the film if they are...
Yes.
If they're relevant to the context and understanding. It's only been a little while since Spider-Man No Way Home came out.
Buddha Man out of bloody home.
Yeah. Any changing thoughts or opinions on that one?
I'm going to be boring. I'm going to say no. It's still the bright and shiny one out of the okay ones we got.
It does feel higher stakes than Eternals does, and that was the fate of the whole bloody world. But this still feels quite low stakes, even though it's all of reality now threatened. But it still sort of felt quite contained, and it was just like a nice little fight around the Statue of Liberty as opposed to a massive citywide.
Felt like
brawl.
an actual Spider-Man thing because Spider-Man was very involved with other heroes in that.
Yeah.
So having Doctor Strange stick around for nearly the entire film was actually quite great.
He did disappear for a bit though. Yeah.
He did.
And of course the other actors, it was good to see them all back. I do sort of wish they'd done something more with the other characters, like to suggest that there had been a history to them. Like, it just sort of feels like with a certain character we're still not going to name, it feels like nothing had happened to him since 2007.
Yeah.
Or 2014 for the other character. I mean, apart from a offhand comment about not pulling punches, but...
Yeah.
Yes. Loki sort of reminded me of Stephen Moffat's Doctor Who, in a way, on the rewatch, where Moffat's Doctor Who, especially in the Capaldi era, was sort of filled with a lot of, we're now going to stand around and just talk for the final 20 minutes of this episode about stuff. And yeah, on the rewatch, it's like, oh god, this is tedious.
Yeah.
Where there's nothing happening, it's just, I mean, Peter Capaldi being great, but it's just like, and this is sort of the same deal where Jonathan Majors is like, I'm now going to deliver a speech, and you're going to have to put up with me jumping on the table. And, you know, it's... On the rewatch, it sort of just really grinds to a halt, especially after the last few episodes were just go, go, go. And moments of introspection, and it was really rewarding, I think, for people who followed that character's journey. And it's sort of a shame that these TV shows aren't being treated like real TV shows. Like, you're not going to get a series every year.
No.
Like, it's really just like an extended film.
Just one-off, one and done for some of them. Well, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye in particular. Loki's getting a season 2, apparently.
It is, yeah. The actress who played Sylvie's just had another child, so... She did film the original Series 1 of Loki, like, only a few months after giving birth, so... I don't know if she'll be so keen to do so again.
Power to her.
Yeah. God, yeah. That's going to be a workout and a half, yeah. But all these films are available to watch, and TV shows, we should say.
On Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus, and we're not sponsored.
No.
But if you want to, send us some money. Send City Park Radio some money, I mean. Yeah,
Yeah, that'll do it.
Sponsor City Park Radio. Anyway, this has been the Geeks Review. I'm Royce.
And I'm Joshua.
And we'll see you next time.